Miss Davis's fourth period, seventh grade class had a problem. A big problem. And his name is Tommy. Tommy is a troublemaker to the extreme. When Mrs. Davis assigns group work, no one will work with troublesome Tommy, and this infuriates Mrs. Davis. "We're going to work on some character-building exercises," Miss Davis says to her class. The class groans harmoniously. "But this is English class," Dan replied. "I understand that, Dan, but let's try some teamwork, and maybe you'll be surprised how language arts can be connected," Mrs. Davis says back. The students look apprehensive. "Okay, we're all different, right? But in this class and for this activity, we all have to come together and work together, right? So we're all made up of different parts and different elements, but we all have to come together. So can you think of a way to relate that back to this class? No one knows? Well, we're all alike. A paragraph. Can anyone explain?" Angie raises her hand. "We're the sentences. We're all made up of different words, but together we make a paragraph. Sometimes, when we come together, do we always make sense?" Mrs. Davis asks. "No," the class yells. "So we have to fix it, right? So when we come together and don't make sense, what are we?" Mrs. Davis asks the class. "A rough draft," Sammy yells. "Great job, Sammy. So we fix the rough draft, and then we get what?" Mrs. Davis asks. "A final draft," the class yells together. So, here's a big new word to learn. When our paragraph comes together, we get coherence. Right? Who knows about coherence? Mrs. Davis asks again. "It means that we all work together well and everything makes sense," Tommy calls out. "Excellent, Tommy," Mrs. Davis says. "I know the next answer," Adam calls out. "But I haven't even asked the question." "I still know the answer," Adam insists. "Okay, tell me my question first," Mrs. Davis says. "What happens when we all work together for a common goal?" Adam asks. "What?" Mrs. Davis asks. "We're all united," Adam says. "That's good, Adam, but what does that have to do with language arts?" "Well, when sentences come together coherently, in the final draft, sentences make a paragraph with unity." "Wow, guys, great job! So what did we learn today?" Mrs. Davis asks. "We have to work together and put aside our differences like sentences, and we have to come together united to make a difference." Excellent job, guys.